Okay, so now that we've got a successful build, we can close the help tab, we can close the welcome tab, and I'm gonna make mine a little bit bigger. There we go. So over here on the left side, you can see every folder that's in this project. Everything in this folder is needed for the project to work, but almost none of these things will you care about, especially early on. The only folder that we, especially when we're getting started, really care about is the SRC folder. Does anybody know how to pronounce SRC? Source. So this is the folder where everything's going to live. Now, my icons probably look different from yours because I've got this extension installed. So if I were to go in and I were to just quickly disable this extension, this is probably what yours looks like. Yeah. So source. Now here's something that you'll see in VS Code. When I've expanded source here, there's also this folder main here. Anytime you've got one folder inside of another folder and that's the only folder in there, it'll just kind of collapse it for you. But so main is a folder inside source, and I'm going to open up File Explorer so you can see it there too. Documents, GitHub, time, demo, source. So the only folder in source is main. So Visual Studio Code is just kind of nice here for you and just kind of collapsed it together for you. But if I open main, there's two folders in here, deploy and Java. The folder we care about here is Java. And if you look in Java, it actually goes 2 layers down. So if I open up Java, oh, the only folder in there is FRC. I'm going to open up FRC. Oh, the only thing in there is this robot folder. And then there's stuff in there. So that's what this collapsed means. So it's just kind of a way of condensing how you go down the file tree. And in here, you're going to find 2 files, main and robot. I'm going to open up the main file just so you can see it. There's 26 lines in the main file, and almost none of it matters. If you're doing something in the main file, you are either super advanced or you don't know what you're doing. So for right now, avoid the main file. It does not matter. The file that matters most to you right now is the robot file, as you might expect. But we're going to close that for a minute. I'm going to press this box with this arrow. This is a handy button on VS Code. It will collapse all those folders for you. If you scroll through here, you should find a file called README. Okay, open that up. And all I want you to do is type a line. It can be a couple of words. It could be some nonsense characters. Just type something there. Hopefully no personal information because you might be committing this. But let's see. I'm just going to type this is another line. Okay. And then make sure you save it. So Control S to save. And you'll see a few things happen. Does anybody see anything noticeably different on the screen before and after? It's yellow. The name here is yellow. The name here is yellow. And beside the name on both of them is a letter M. M stands for modified. So VS Code is going to do some things with Git and GitHub to kind of help you say, hey, something's going on here. Yep.
My text didn't turn yellow or happy.
Right, and that's probably because we don't have Git installed on your computer. So Git and GitHub are 2 separate things. If you have Git installed, you'll get this stuff happening. If you don't have it, you won't. But you can still see all this stuff in GitHub Desktop either way. Does anybody have an icon over here with like a 1 in it? So that's another thing that Git does for you. So you can do all your commit stuff in VS Code here if you've got Git installed. Even if you do, I'm going to recommend avoiding it, and here's why. Open up GitHub Desktop and try to commit what you just did to main. So for those who were here last time, how do you commit?
Select it, then you name it, and then you
click the commit button. Who is able to click the commit button? So one of the things that I've done to this repo as an admin for the organization, I've made it so that nobody can commit to main. And I did that because you don't want to accidentally commit something to main and push it up. GitHub Desktop can hook into those rules and know about them. VS Code doesn't know about that. And so that's why it's letting me try to create a commit here. But GitHub Desktop has that direct line of communication and says, no, you're not allowed to do that. So if we were to want to commit this, what do we have to do first?
Change the branch.
Change the branch. Now here's the great thing about branching. You can make your changes and then branch, or you can branch and then make your changes. So let's make a branch. How do we make a branch?
Click current branch.
We click on our current branch, which is main. New branch, and we give it a name. And again, just like with your commits, it's good for the branch names to be meaningful. Now here's a problem you might run into. A good meaningful name might be demo branch, like this, right? But if you all create a branch named demo branch, there's going to be conflict, right? Because that's all the same name. So what you'll see in some organizations is they'll type their username and then a // or another dash as a way of saying, hey, I created this branch, and if somebody else creates this, a branch with a similar name, it's going to make sure that they don't conflict. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to create the branch. I have changes on this branch. What would I like to do with them? Leave them on main or bring them with me? If you're doing a branch, you probably want the changes to come with you, but this is going to be a situation by situation thing. In this case, we want the changes to go to the branch, so we're going to bring the changes with us. Now, if you had clicked the other option, what it would probably do is create what's called a stash. And in Git, a stash is a whole bunch of files that you were working on, but you need to kind of put them on the shelf for a little while. And so you create a stash, Git makes a record of that, but it doesn't commit them. So it's kind of like committing without committing. But you'll see that later on in your development histories. Okay, so you've got your file, and you should be on a branch. Everybody on a different branch than main? Good. So you've got your file checked, and we're just updating the README. So we're just going to commit that. Commit to whatever branch. Yep.
It says I have 0 changed files.
Did you save your changes?
I don't know.
Is there a little dot on the tab? So if you look on here, is there a dot up here?
How do you save on VS?
Control S. That'll do it. Yeah, so if you type some things like here, I'm typing, I've got this big white dot up here. That means my changes aren't saved. GitHub Desktop and Git won't pick up those changes until you save them. So that's why you'd be seeing that.
Okay.
All right. So we did commit, but after you commit, where are the changes?
On your computer.
On your local, on the computer. How do you get them into GitHub?
Publish branch.
You publish the branch and you, what's the word? Push. So you click on this button that says Publish Branch. And that's going to push all that up. So now everybody make sure they've published their branch, because the next thing you'll do is you'll get to see everybody else's stuff. Because now you should see Fetch Origin there, right? If you click on Fetch Origin, and now if you click on Current Branch, you'll see everybody else's branches. So that fetching was a way for me to say, hey, I want to know what everybody else has done. So I can see 1, 2, 3, not this, Ethan, Merrick, Mojo, Joe, and Wood have all pushed branches up. Now, I don't necessarily know who pushed these branches up, right? There's a little bit of trust there, but I can go see them later. Any questions up to that point as far as, copying the repo, pushing your changes up, being protected from pushing on main?